Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Prismata. We're going to jump in the queue here. I have two platinum tickets? Really? Okay. Well, there's one. D-Mac. I don't remember if I've ever played against D-Mac. I know of this person. Like, I recall seeing this username a long time ago, but I don't think I've played them on stream anyway, or on camera. What is the deal? What do you attack with here? Tesla, I guess? I mean, the other possibility is Tarsier. Also Windsor, obviously. But is there enough defense for Windsor? Well, I guess that sort of cuts both ways, right? If there isn't much defense, then your Windsor will be strong. Well, I think that just red loses to Tesla, so that can't be what you do. And that means that I'm kind of, I don't know, I think I want to do Teslas, but I feel like Windsor is probably good enough to win here, and I just like am not very comfortable with Windsor lines. Maybe there's something clever you can do with Auric to get the Windsor more easily, more quickly. I mean, I think Savior is obviously out of the picture. But these two I'm not so sure about. Like, I really don't want to commit to double blue for anything except the Windsor. And even, like, I don't know, is that really compelling? To get a Windsor? Like, shouldn't I just do this? And, like, if my opponent tries to get a Windsor, I'd, like, rush them down with Teslas so that they can't fire it enough times? Or you could try to go kind of breach-proofish with Gauss cannons. I don't know exactly how great that would be against Windsor. Probably not great. Just because Gauss cannon's not very efficient. And you kind of would have to commit to that a little too soon. Right, if you try to go breach-proof, your opponent can go like red and kill you. So I want to do this. But I kind of want another conduit so I can get a second Tesla, which this achieves. And after that, like, I'm going to be devoting so much resources to keeping my Teslas firing that I won't really need any more tech. Like, I can just sustain like NG wall and a bit if I go this way, which is like not ideal, but okay. Yeah, I think this is probably cool. I don't know. We'll see how this Tesla Auric thing works out. I guess that's a fair point. This should have been an Auric also. Now that you mention it, opponent. You know, that would be better. Now I would have, instead of having a drone, I'd have an Auric at this point, and that's a drone that I would have the option to sell back, unlike my current drone. They're going to get one of my NGs, but that's life. I need this second Tesla to start doing something. Still, it seems like they found a pretty reasonable counter to my plan, insofar as it was a plan. I can't actually get a Gauss Cannon, can I? Because I need NGs. Well, hang on. I could do this. Yeah, I think that this is a better try. Make use of that green to get tempo. So what's the damage? Like, how are we doing? Who's winning? I'm doing 7 damage, and opponent is doing 6. But I'm spending 1 extra engineer per turn, so that's all quite close. Drones are tied. I'm killing... Yeah, it seems very close, actually. Like, what... Who's stable? Is anyone stable? I'm killing wall NG. An opponent is killing another NG, which means they're building wall and 3 NGs. That's exactly stable. Whereas my opponent is killing wall NG, and I'm burning up 2. So that's the same. The difference is that I have an extra green, which I can maybe use to like get out an extra Gauss Cannon at some stage, along with a force field. Well, I can't do that if I'm building wall NG, right? I could try something like this to get 1 extra damage out there. Actually, this should be a splitter. But this is going to be awkward because I'll be exploited next turn. So I don't think this is actually very good. I'm not really making progress. I'm not using my green. Opponent's in a similar spot, I think. Supplies? My opponent runs out of wall supplies before I do, which should happen. I'm worried about NG supply? Because I'm buying... No, we're both buying 3, right? My damage is easier for opponent to deal with force fields. This doesn't work. I don't know what to do here. I could hold a Tesla for some reason and give them a wall, and then I wouldn't need this NG. But I just don't think that's good. All right, I'm gonna stall for a turn and see like what if something arrives that will break us out of this loop somehow. Okay, opponent's going to try to break out of it with more force fields. I guess. Yeah. But now next turn they get exploit. Ah, they don't because I'm attacking for 7. But now they're also attacking for 7, and so I can do... Ooh, not quite, huh? Well, there you go. That doesn't quite work. Ugh. So this is 6, 7. My problem is the NGs I'm losing are not flexible. They have to be NGs. My opponent can lose 2 force fields instead. But I'm killing my own NGs myself. I guess I can do this. And then next turn I should be able to force field to defend. This doesn't work. I mean, my opponent seems to be losing NGs faster, drones faster than I am, right? So maybe this is fine? Like we're both attacking for 7, but I'm up a couple drones. My NG supply is not a huge concern yet. It seems like this ought to break through first. Yeah, and now they're taking even more damage. Oof, got there. I'm not sure why I won that game. First Tesla maybe is just this whole story? Or I got 2 Teslas, I guess, which is sort of a similar kind of thing. This is a kind of sharp damage graph. I think opponent used Oryx better than I did. Yeah, I mean, I guess it basically comes down to the fact that I got 2 Teslas and they got up to the same amount of attack, but they had to buy more Gauss cannons for it. Yeah, and getting the second Tesla, I don't know. It makes life tough for my opponent. They were just a bit shy of green to do what they really wanted to do this turn, which was like... Well, no, they were short of everything. Right, you kind of want like a second Tesla here and to defend. But the problem is, how do you defend in this position without spending any tech? I guess the answer... Oh, and after clicking this, right? That's an even bigger problem. If it were like this, then they'd be just a green short. They could force field Tesla, right? But it's actually this. They need like wall Tesla. So I wonder if these 2 Oryx were the issue. Like, what could you have gotten different last turn? This could have been... I mean, a 3rd conduit seems pretty crazy. But maybe it defends your engineers a bit better by giving you more force fields. And I think a 2nd forge is clearly nuts. Ah, so maybe this just needed to be NGs. And say, I'm going to need extra defense next turn so that I can get down a 2nd Tesla. Right? They can predict the amount of damage that I'll be doing. You know, they're going to have just 2 NGs, right? And they're going to kill one of them, so they'll have just 1 NG and 1 wall. And they need to defend against my probably 7 damage, right? which is 2 on wall, and 1 on NG is 3. They need 4 extra NGs to live here? That doesn't seem good. Did I miscount somehow? It seemed like they would have a different amount of stuff than that. What did I do in this position? It seems like I'm in some trouble here. Oh, right, no, I built a force field to defend, so I don't have to replace the NGs. I can use these instead. I forget if I got another engineer here, probably. Yeah, and so now they're still not, like, quite defended. But it's closer, right? They could, like, force field and build this. Right? This actually seems kind of cool. They get to add 2 attack this turn instead of, I think they added 1 when they built, like, wall Gauss cannon or something. Yeah. This way they get to use a force field instead of a wall, which means they are more efficiently converting their drones to attackers. Okay, so this is a candidate line they could try. What happens to me? Well, wall. And I'm kind of just like, triple NG is about all I can do, right? And this steel splitter gives them some serious flexibility. They make it more important for me to be granular because they can get value by holding this back to get defensive tempo if I make myself exploitable, as I probably will be. And so, like, here, they know that they're defending wall force field. I'm not really adding any more attack anytime soon. So they can actually, like, you don't need the NG, you can Auric. Get that back. And maybe at some point in the future manage to squeeze in a Gauss cannon. And I don't know, I'm just sort of like treading water here. But I think they're in a similar spot. No, they're kind of gradually increasing the amount of gold that they float. But they're losing drones. Maybe they can squeeze in 1 extra Gauss cannon at some point this way. Yeah. There, all that gold they've been floating finally turns into a Gauss cannon. And they still look losing, don't they? We're both at 7 attack, but I'm just buying wall triple NG and defending. Where they're building wall... Oh, they need a force field still. Yeah, they're building wall NG force field. And they just sold back an Auric, so they're like down 4 drones. Yikes. But I've just lost my ability to be stable, right? They added that extra damage, and now I'm not stable anymore. I have to start force fielding. But I can, kind of exactly as happened in the game. Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Well, they get this splitter hold for free, actually. Because I can't afford to lose this engineer. I have to lose the force field. That's interesting. Really want to buy an Auric here. But this gives them another free splitter hold. I don't know, that's probably fine, right? I seem to be winning, so why not? Yeah, this can't be good for them. It seems to be basically the same position that occurred in the game. Energy supply is getting very, very low, though. That might be how opponent somehow wins, is I'm suddenly down to just one attack. Oh no, can't force field anymore. Disaster. Can't even NG. There you go. Maybe I should be doing this. No, I can't gambit like that because I'm not granular. And at this point, they're basically like no longer attacking. I just have to last for like a turn. And it's okay that these... I don't need this wall even. Yeah. It's okay that these Teslas aren't firing again. Because eventually my one Gauss cannon will knock him over. And I can actually just like use drone as a more expensive engineer. Oh yeah, there we go. I can just do that in fact. Although I don't know if I want to. The engineer might be more valuable than killing the Gauss cannon, to be honest. Like, isn't the energy actually better? So I can keep doing this. I wish I could buy another Engie. I mean, eventually I should be able to. I can just float more money. Yeah, maybe this. Yeah, then next turn I can buy another Tesla and finish him off. In fact, I should have done that last turn. Oh, I can't because I lost the drone. Well, whatever. I can do this. Anyway, point is, I'm winning this ending. So this felt pretty easy for player... Well, the game didn't feel easy. But the opening felt very natural as player 2. And I'm not sure what player 1 was intended to do about it. You could try to undercut it, I guess. But that seems very difficult. Like, could you maybe do it here? No, because it's not like you can build B, C, C. I mean, I guess it's legal, but it doesn't seem very good. All right, let's suppose that we continue as so, and opponent does this. They can buy a Tesla before I'm ready, but they're on such low econ that, like, what's the point, right? Like, here comes this Tesla, and okay, I guess. You got me. I'm not building my own Teslas. I don't know. This just seems clearly winning for player 2, right? Like, you can't afford to be spending your money on engineers when you have so little stuff. Well, don't buy the Engie, I guess, but it just is not really any imposition for me to defend this, and I can counter with Tesla, and that's basically game over for opponent. Kind of a bummer to not be able to get a second Tesla here, but you don't really need a second Tesla against someone who's done this to themselves. you can just add some ordinary attack, and then they'll fall apart before long. Right. We're both at 5 attack, but I'm up 5 drones, and they have no compensation. They've wasted more on green that they can't use. Yeah, like this undercut is clearly not winning. Huh. The Auric Impulse really helped. It's pretty hard to do like this Tesla into Tesla without it, because how do you fit in the second conduit? I mean, I guess I only floated... I was floating 1 and then floating 2, so I guess I could have done the same thing and just had $1 less all game. But like right about here, I needed that $1, right? So I'm not sure if that would even be good enough. The game got pretty close, and I think if you took $1 away from me on like turn 4 or whatever it was, yeah, turn 4 is when this Auric gave me $1. Right, I could have, instead of buying Auric, I could have floated 3. Like let's imagine Auric's not in the set, right? I can do this. Get the second one. And, you know, get the wall now, and I think I needed a force field. Was I able to add the Gauss cannon now? I think I was. Yeah. But like this turn then I needed more money than I currently have. Like that Auric helped a lot. I don't know. Kind of tough. I don't think my opponent made any obvious mistakes. And as I mentioned, opponent made better use of Aurics than I did. Like, technically, at one of these, not this drone, but this drone here should really have been an Auric as well. And I would just continue floating it for a while longer. You know, a very long time I would continue floating it. But then at some point around here, I would cash in by selling back a drone and be quite happy with it. I don't know. Anyway, like the rule of thumb, which I've talked about before on this channel for Aurics, is... I mean, one way to improve how well you play with Auric is to, like, okay, people use Aurics to plan out some specific build where they need an infusion of cash right away at some key moment, right? The most common example is like Antima Comet, right? You buy a bunch of Aurics because you just want like as much money as you can get for engineers, and usually like you float the gold or you spam NGs and then buy more NGs, and that's sort of like just floating gold, except it's disguised as NGs that you're floating. It would be better if you could get money for floating your gold, and so like you buy Aurics. Or you can, you know, plan out specific turns that like where the Auric has a clear purpose. But I'm honestly not very good at finding a clear purpose for an Auric several turns in advance. But instead I just use a simple rule of thumb for like, should I get an Auric? The main way that I think of Auric is just as a drone that you can sell back, right? You pay 3, and next turn you have 4, which is a lot like next turn having a drone and $1, right? The difference being that this Auric Impulse sells itself back, and as long as you have energy, you can rebuy it, but effectively sort of keeping this phantom drone here. So let me show you, like, what did I do? I got Blast Forge Drone Auric, I got Tesla Conduit, second Conduit, Gauss Wall, Force Field Engie, right. So it's a very long time that I wasn't buying any drones, right? And so my rule of thumb here is if next turn, if you want to buy a drone, but next turn you will float an energy, then you increase your flexibility at no cost to yourself, assuming Auric supply doesn't matter. You increase flexibility at no cost to yourself by buying an Auric instead and planning to cement the drone next turn by converting this Auric into a real drone. And then next turn, if you would buy that drone, but you will be floating energy on the following turn, you then instead continue buying Aurics. Right here I see, okay, I have $4. I could buy a drone, seems good, but next turn I'm buying another Tesla, and that will involve floating 2 gold and 1 energy, or a lot of energy in fact. Therefore, it's strictly better to buy an Auric instead. We attack, we buy this, and we say, what am I getting next turn? Well, kind of looks like Wall, Force Field, NG, Gauss Cannon. That's 13, right? Well, let's keep floating. I mean, a drone seems good, but now I'm getting Wall, Force Field. That's 6. Gauss Cannon, NG, that's 8 more. Okay. So I can afford what I want, but instead of buying a drone, I want to keep floating this Auric. And now, like, I get this NG, and I say, does drone seem okay now? Maybe it doesn't, because I don't remember what opponent was up to. Maybe now is the time I want to cash it in by, like, buying an NG or something, right? And now that's sort of like holding back a drone, but you get an extra $1 from it. Well, it's not. It's not really. Maybe not. But you can keep floating the NG, the drone. I'm going to win next turn, so... Oh, no, I'm not. All right, we can keep showing. And like, okay. Maybe this turn I still need Wall, Force Field, NG. But now I can say, okay. I don't know what the state of the game is. Maybe this wouldn't apply. But like, suppose that I didn't need to use any of this stuff for defense. Now I might say, okay, well, instead of buying back my Auric Impulse to keep that drone, I'm going to not buy it back, effectively selling the drone that I bought many turns ago and squeeze in a Gauss Cannon, right? I'm not sure how this would have played out in practice. It's a bit more complicated. I guess what you can do is just watch the replay of the game, starting from the point where I failed to, where I bought a drone instead of an Auric, and scan forward in time and see, are there any times where selling a drone would make a huge difference to me? If so, like, that's the time I should do it. Here, it's not quite... Well, actually, it's not there at all, right? Really, I want to, like, somehow have $6 left over, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. How about this? I was contemplating something involving double force field. And it seems that I also need 1 additional NG to compensate for my Tesla firing. And I need 1 to make sure that I still have 6 defense next turn, right? And now's the moment where I think it would be quite nice for me to sell back a drone if I could, to have $8 this turn instead of 5. Then I could splitter and NG, getting myself up to 8 attack, which would be a big problem for my opponent. So I think this is the turn where my mistake finally cost me. Turn 8, right? What I actually did on turn 8 was, like, struggle for quite a while, and then just say, well, I guess I'm sort of stuck in this loop. I hope I win. And my opponent tried to find some... But in fairness, I should have recognized that at this point it's a winning loop, and I should leave it alone. Right? Just because... Is it, though? It seems like I should be... Well, yeah, because, like, I'm up a damage, but I'm not, though, right? I see. we're tied on damage in a way, right? I'm doing 7 and he's doing 6, but I'm losing 1 more drone from my own Teslas. So that's like tied. But I'm up 1 drone, so like something good should happen to me eventually. So I really shouldn't I shouldn't try to disturb this game. And I couldn't find a way to disturb it profitably, so I didn't, but... Right, stuff like this was happening, and I was like, come on, just let me build another attacker somehow. And eventually that extra $1 I was saving turned into this Auric, which eventually turned into... I don't remember, did I squeeze out another attacker eventually? Or did I just sell it for NGs? I was just selling it for NGs, basically. But it helped. Anyway, so if I had bought that Auric back on turn 3 and diligently floated it all the way to turn 8, I would suddenly find myself with a windfall where I can get an 8th attack in exchange for selling one of my drones. Something I would be happy to do. You saw I was really struggling, trying to find some way to turn drones into force fields that would let me buy another attacker, and I just couldn't do it. If I'd bought that Auric, that would be a different way to sell drones that would have fit my needs better. Right? Like, let's... Yeah. I mean... The problem with this line... Well, first of all, it should have been a splitter, yeah. Was that while I can defend this turn, force field, wall, I then click both my Teslas, and the only way to continue living next turn is to double force field again, which is a bit awkward. I would much rather go back to losing NG wall than having to double force field. So what I would like to do is buy like an engineer right now. But I can't quite do that, whereas if I could sell a drone, I could buy 2. Although 1 would maybe be better. Right? I think so. There might be some way to make use of the floated money with more Aurics or something. So if we imagine that this was... I had $4 and 1 fewer drone, that would be great. I would love it. You know, it's selling 3 drones this turn, but that's fine because it increases the pressure on opponent, who's already in a lot of trouble. So anyway, that's the way that I see Auric, right? There's no way that on turn 3 I was going to predict that on turn 8 I really want to sell back a drone because of this exact outcome, right? Maybe there's people who can see that far, but I'm not one of them. I just follow a few simple rules, and like those rules say this drone should have been an Auric, and I made a mistake, and my opponent reminded me by building these Aurics instead. So I appreciate that reminder. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad I won anyway, though. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.